Craving the coffee flavor you love, but without the caffeine? Kachava's got you covered with their newest coffee flavor. This all-in-one nutrition shake delivers bold, authentic flavor, crafted from premium decaffeinated Brazilian beans. With 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, and so much more. Treat yourself to the flavor and nutrition your body craves. Go to kachava.com and use code NEWS. New customers get 15% off their first order. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word SHOW to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word SHOW, SHOW, to 33777. Text SHOW to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
From the Atlantic to the Pacific, it's Eric Erickson here. Welcome. The phone number, 877-973-7425, should you wish to be on the program today. Happy to have you. One housekeeping note for all of you. I do a nationally syndicated show, and I'm also an employee at WSB Radio in Atlanta, my flagship station. And 2 o'clock p.m. on WSB, I will air my interview with Rick Jackson, who's running for governor in Georgia. The rest of you, I will have fine and exciting stuff by the time we get there to cover. But I want those of you in the Atlanta area on WSB to know you'll have Rick Jackson with me at 2 p.m. I want to start with a list. We have rapidly approached the don't blame us, it's their problem stage of what happened over the weekend, and I find it to be deeply, deeply unfortunate. This is Democratic Congressman Jason Crow on CNN. Oh, hang on a second. My fault here. Forgot I had this thing muted.
You said there's a lot of rhetoric coming from a lot of different places. Do you think any of the rhetoric that's been coming from Democratic corners has contributed to the environment that we're living in?
There are instances of rhetoric that I have disagreed with, and I've called my own colleagues out when and if that happens. But what I do reject is some sense of a false equivalency, that somehow this is coming equally from both sides. I condemn this violence across the board. I will call it out whether it's Democrat or Republican. But at the same time, I have an obligation as an elected official to call out bad things that are happening in this country that are inconsistent with our values, that are threatening my constituents. And me as an elected official, as the voice of my constituents in Colorado, I cannot stop doing that. I have to do that responsibly, and I have to be very clear with folks that when I'm engaged in political debate, sometimes that's fiery debate, that is what we are doing.
You get this, it's disproportionate. The heated rhetoric is coming from one side. I need to be very clear with everybody this morning, and I've got the data to prove it. You can say all you want that the heated rhetoric is disproportionately coming from the Republicans. You can say all you want the violent rhetoric is coming from the Republicans. What you cannot deny and what is factually true is that disproportionately the bullets are coming from the left. Oh, you don't believe me? Let's go through the list, shall we? We had the mass assassination attempt of 24 members of the Republican Congress by James Hodgkinson. 4 people were shot, including Steve Scalise. We have the attempted assassination of Brett Kavanaugh. We have 2 out of 3 attempted assassinations of Donald Trump, very clearly by people on the left. We have the attempted assassination of Josh Shapiro and his family, a Democrat, by a progressive radical. We have the attempted assassination on Russell Vought. We have the attempted assassination of Lee Zeldin. We've got the assassination of Charlie Kirk. How can we forget that one? We've got a disproportionate attack on from the left. And let's not forget, We had a progressive attack on an ICE facility in Dallas that left one dead and others critically wounded. We had an attack on an ICE facility in McAllen, Texas that left 3 police officers wounded. We had a progressive attack on the ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas on the same day as the McAllen, Texas, when they appeared to be coordinated, that left a local police officer wounded. You can say all you want that the Republicans are more heated in their rhetoric and more violent in their rhetoric. You can blame Donald Trump for the heated rhetoric all you want. But the fact of the matter is there are more bullets flying from the left than the right. What is so notable is this new report from the Wall Street Journal reported out that the left is actually surpassing the right in terms of violence now. And you know, they struggle to rig the numbers to minimize it. This report claims that the left has finally surpassed the right in violence, and that violence comes in large part because of the immigration stuff. But you know how they get it? If it's an anti-Semitic attack, it's defined as a right-wing attack. If it is an attack specifically on Jews, a physical attack on Jews, it's considered ethno-nationalist, not left. So you got that? All the progressives who were marching in the streets against Israel, that was ethno-nationalist. The radical Muslim in Colorado who burned up the Jews who were memorializing October 7th, that was an anti-Semitic attack, so it was coded right-wing. That's how they do it. And even so, even coding those attacks to rig the system in favor of the left, they still document there were more left-wing attacks in this country in the last few years. The left refuses to acknowledge it. And here's the problem. It's really hard to acknowledge you have problems on your own side when you are perpetually virtuous. When you look in the mirror every day and you see virtue, you don't see sin. After October 7th, before Israel even responded to the October 7th attacks, it was not just Palestinians and foreigners in American cities who were tearing down the pictures of the Israeli hostages. It was white progressive activists in New York City. They were tearing down the pictures of the Israeli hostages. You can't be virtuous when you're reminded every day that your side is full of monsters, so you have to tear down the pictures of the hostages to make it about the plight of the Palestinians, not about what Hamas did to Israel. After Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a progressive who was radicalized by the trans ideology, Heather Cox Richardson, who's a history professor in Boston, who is the largest Substack in the world. She's got like 2.4 to 2.7 million subscribers to her Substack. She wrote that the assassin of Charlie Kirk was on the right. To my knowledge, she's never corrected that. She's allowed her 2.7 million readers to believe that Charlie Kirk's assassin was on the right. Because if he was on the left, you would have to question the virtuousness on the left. The would-be assassin this weekend, Cole Allen, believed the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting of Donald Trump was a false flag, that it was fake, that it was staged by Donald Trump. He's not alone. This is Joy Reid, who used to have a TV show on MSNBC.
Don't ask any questions, even though there's just odd things that keep happening around Trump. And we know that Viktor Orban, allegedly, according to Washington Post reporting, there was a plot by the Russians to stage an assassination, fake assassination for Orban. So all of this throws in together. You're like, when something seems too perfect, people, they don't believe in it. And Donald Trump now again gets victimized by an alleged would-be assassin in front of the perfect witnesses, the press.
You got the perfect witnesses. The perfect witnesses allegedly an assassination attempt. This is a woman who had a prominent career on television who still has a large following of progressives. There's a guy on Twitter, Brooklyn Defiant. He's got over 1 million followers. Suggested maybe just asking questions, was this event staged? They're questioning whether Butler, Pennsylvania's assassination attempt was staged. They're questioning whether this was staged. Why? Because it was progressives. With the exception of Butler, Pennsylvania, what we know about that kid was he was deeply mentally disturbed. But the guy down in Florida, oh, and let's not forget, in the list, there was also the guy who tried to get into Mar-a-Lago while Melania Trump was there. But the guy on the golf course in Florida, the guy this weekend, they were progressives and they were inflamed by progressive sensibilities. We know this from their own statements that they were inflamed. K-File, Andrew Kaczynski at CNN went through the social media of Cole Allen.
Now, a Justice Department official confirmed to CNN that this X account, C-Force 3000, belonged to Allen. And then there's another account that appeared to belong to Allen on the website Blue Sky with biographical details that matched his life. Now, both of these accounts have been taken down, but we reviewed information from them on the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine. Those posts show a very clear shift over time. Early on, he was using his Twitter account mostly to post about the video game Super Smash Bros. He was promoting his own content. But then, 2024, this changes, and he's sharing a lot of political content that's very, very critical of Donald Trump. Now, Allen appears to have started posting on Blue Sky in February 2025. That's just a few weeks into Trump's second term. The account frequently criticized Trump, administration policies, and lamented that more powerful figures weren't taking action against the president. He wrote in one post, "Everyone knows that Trump is an effing awful person in multiple dimensions, and no one has done." Some of the other posts and reposts advocated for gun possession and purchases. One post, he said, best time to buy a gun was days ago in December 2025. Then he added, the second best time is today.
This guy sounds like just a radical, run-of-the-mill progressive. He doesn't sound out of the ordinary. I want to go back to the Norah O'Donnell interview with Donald Trump, where she set him off. I did an interview this morning with Morning News on WOKV in Jacksonville, Florida, and this clip came up.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me.
You think he was referring to? Of course he was, Nora, because this is the language that comes out on CNN. This is the language that, remember, Cameron Karski or whatever had to come back and apologize. Scott Jennings had to point to him and say, are you sure you want to say that? He had to come back and apologize. This is the rhetoric of the left. This is the run-of-the-mill rhetoric of the left, that Donald Trump is a rapist, he's a pedophile, that he's somehow in the Epstein files, that he's a monster and a murderer. This is routine rhetoric from the American political left. This guy wasn't a radical. He was a revolutionary. He wasn't insane. He knew what he was doing. In fact, if you look at the rhetoric of Cole Allen, what he regularly complained about in social media is that Democrats constantly say Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and they don't take action to stop him, and somebody needed to stop him. You can claim that the Republicans are disproportionately violent in their rhetoric. You can make that claim. I would disagree with you, but you can make that claim. What you cannot claim is that there are more bullets coming from the right than the left, because there are absolutely not. The actual assassination attempts are disproportionately coming from the left. That's not my opinion. That is the data. It is real. That is happening. And the Democrats won't say anything about it because, frankly, I think privately they're afraid that their progressive activists who they've whipped into this frenzy will turn their guns on them. If you are Elise Slotkin and you've given a speech and said, I really do believe Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy, and then you're like, I didn't mean it, my bad, what do you think these people are going to do to you when the revolutionaries come? In Iran, we've caught a tiger by the tail, and we're risking letting go of it without defanging it and declawing it, and it will try to get us. In the United States, the Democratic Party has caught a tiger by its tail, the progressive mob, and they're too scared to let go of that tail lest they get mauled by that tiger. They see the bullets flying, and they want to keep them flying in one direction, towards the right, away from them, towards the Republicans, and then maybe they'll lament when something bad happens. But what I find so notable is that since this weekend and the attack, what I am noticing is that none of these people on the left seem to want to acknowledge just how violent this is becoming on the left. They don't want to acknowledge just how insane the left has become across the nation. They don't want to acknowledge that in the United States of America, progressive activists have taken up arms and have attempted now on 2 of 3 occasions to assassinate the President of the United States. Greetings, conversationalists. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I have a Taylor Swift update. Believe it or not, for my program. The terror trial has begun for a Muslim radical accused of plotting a jihadi attack on Taylor Swift's concert in Vienna in 2024. All 3 shows were canceled. It appears that this guy was plotting to do an ISIS-inspired mass murder attack at a Taylor Swift concert. I see. Sorry. Yeah, the trial started and the man has just pled guilty in the last hour to plotting the attack, acknowledging as a 19-year-old he was inspired by ISIS to mass murder concert goers at a Taylor Swift concert. There are jokes, but I will not tell them here. My daughter's a big Taylor Swift fan. I've been to, I think, 7 concerts in my life. 5 of them have been Taylor Swift concerts for my daughter. There's a special spot in heaven. I want y'all to know there's a special spot in heaven for me for taking my daughter. The 6th was Adele. Yes. 7th was Drew Holcomb for my son. All right. I got to tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You can get 3 of them and save $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code ERIC3, ERICK3. They get rid of particles in the air without filters. You do not have to have a filter subscription. They also kill 99.9% of bacteria and viruses that pass through the device when they generate plasma. And most importantly, the way I use it, odor elimination. So I don't leave mine running all the time. I keep it in my travel bag. It's pretty small and portable. I've used it in hotel rooms when people have been smoking. Before I got there, I've used it in rental cars where people have smoked in the rental car. I used it on my back porch. In fact, it's still on my back porch from the other day when I used my pizza oven, the wood burning option, and it got smoky in the back porch. And it eliminates the odors. It generates ozone. Ozone's like odor bleach. It goes where you can't to wipe out the odors. And if it doesn't wipe out the odors, it's got a money-back guarantee. See the site for details at EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3, ERICK, the number 3, no space, EdenPureDeals.com. Wipe out odors, kill bacteria, viruses, trap particles. Get 3 of them, save $200, EdenPureDeals.com. Discount code ERIC3. You're probably familiar with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Frank Sillers, who is the chairman of Tunnel to Towers, is going to join me the bottom of the hour, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time today. Talk about a project they are doing this year. It's not just the 250th anniversary of the United States. It's the 25th anniversary of 9/11. He'll be joining me 1:35 p.m. Before I get into anything else, I want to play this. This is the president's speech. I'm doing this. So my oldest sister, her name is Leafia. We're good Swedes. And she texted me this morning and said, did you see the president's speech? It was the best speech he's given. It was short and humorous and sweet. It was the speech he delivered welcoming King Charles III and Queen Camilla to the White House. I don't know if y'all saw yesterday, Ilhan Omar referred to World War II as World War XI. So what's she going to do when she sees King Charles III is coming and wondering how there are 111 King Charleses coming to Congress tomorrow to give a speech? Oh, wow. Anyway, so my sister said that the speech is worth it. I pulled the speech. I haven't heard it or seen it. We're going to do that together.
My wonderful mother, Mary MacLeod. Mary MacLeod was born in Stornoway, Scotland, the Hebrides, and that's what they call very serious Scotland. There's no question about it. Some places they say, well, it wasn't really Scotland. The Hebrides, that's real serious Scotland. That's where they had their greatest of warriors, their greatest of warriors. She came to America at 19, met my incredible father. We loved him so much. We all loved him. We loved her. We loved him, Fred. And they were married for 63 years. And excuse me if you don't mind. That's a record we won't be able to match, darling. I'm sorry. Just not going to work out that way. We'll do well, but we're not going to do that well. 63 years. And my mother, I just see it so clearly. She loved, and I told the king this, she loved the royal family. And she loved the queen. And anytime the queen was involved in a ceremony or anything, my mother would be glued to the television and she'd say, look, Donald, look how beautiful that is. She really did love the family. But I also remember her saying very clearly, Charles, look, young Charles, he's so cute. My mother. My mother had a crush on Charles. Can you believe it? Amazing how, I wonder what she's thinking right now.
That's well done. That's well done. The President of the United States with King Charles III at the White House. Mad respect for that man from what everybody in the White House says. Absolutely adores Charles. And I am told that privately the king reached out to the president about the president's rhetoric over Canada. You notice he turned down his rhetoric. And I am told that very reliably that the king privately reached out and just reminded the president that Charles was also King of Canada and would appreciate a little more respect shown. And the president took it to heart. Now, I got to tell you about Swiss America because they are sounding the alarm on the secret war on cash, and they would love to get you involved in learning about it. If you go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, SwissAmerica.com/ERICK, you can get their free report. You fill out the form, they'll send it to you. It takes less than 15 minutes to read. The Congress and the regulators, including the Fed, don't want you spending your paper and hard currency more, including crypto. They want you using plastic because then the government can monitor your purchases. So they don't care when stores now tell you that no cash is accepted. It's perfectly fine. You can say, well, it's legal tender. They have to. No, Congress has said no. They would very much like it if everyone used plastic so they can spy on you. You want to find out about the secret war on cash and how you can navigate around its consequences? Get the report completely free. SwissAmerica.com/Eric. You can also click their news and views tabs and get bleeding edge currency information, market information. Be smarter than your friends when it comes to investing. You can even buy gold from them. I bought gold coins from them. SwissAmerica.com/Eric. Fill out the form. Get the secret war on cash report. SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. I want to play you a clip from Carolyn Levitt. This is a little bit lengthy. This is very much worth you hearing, though. This is Carolyn Levitt, the White House press secretary, yesterday at the White House in the press briefing, being challenged by some reporters about the rhetoric out there by the president, and then picks up the rhetoric of Cole Allen.
And while we are blessed to have a fearless president, we should not live in a country where such constant fear of political violence permeates our society every single day. We can and we should have fierce disagreement in this country. As you all know, we disagree often, myself in this role and all of you in the news media. But those disagreements must remain peaceful. Debating, peaceful protesting, and voting are how we need to settle disagreements, not bullets. Nobody in recent years has faced more bullets and more violence than President Trump. This political violence stems from a systemic demonizing of him and his supporters by commentators, yes, by elected members of the Democrat Party, and even some in the media. This hateful and constant and violent rhetoric directed at President Trump day after day after day for 11 years has helped to legitimize this violence and bring us to this dark moment. Those who constantly falsely label and slander the president as a fascist, as a threat to democracy, and compare him to Hitler to score political points are fueling this kind of violence. The left-wing cult of hatred against the president and all of those who support him and work for him has gotten multiple people hurt and killed, and it almost did so again this weekend. When you read the manifesto of this shooter, ask yourselves, how different is the rhetoric from this almost assassin than what you read on social media and hear in various forums every single day? The answer, if you're being honest with yourself, is that there is no difference at all. Much of the manifesto of the would-be assassin is indistinguishable from the words that we hear daily from so many. For example, as the First Lady of the United States pointed out this morning, just 2 days prior to the shooting, ABC's late-night host Jimmy Kimmel disgustingly called First Lady Melania Trump an expectant widow. Who in their right minds says a wife would be glowing over the potential murder of her beloved husband? And having experienced what I did with the First Lady on Saturday night, I can tell you that she was anything but that. This kind of rhetoric about the president, the First Lady, and his supporters is completely deranged, and it's unbelievable that the American people are consuming it night after night after night.
She's absolutely right there. She's absolutely right. Listen to some of the examples that she gives.
I have a whole host of examples that we can share with you after. It is pages and pages of major Democrat Party elected officials saying, such as Rep. Hakeem Jeffries just this month said, we are in an era of maximum warfare everywhere all the time. Governor Josh Shapiro said heads need to roll within the administration. Senator Alex Padilla said people are, quote, dying because of fear and terror caused by the Trump administration. Senator Elizabeth Warren, President Trump is making the country look like a, quote, fascist state. Senator Adam Schiff saying President Trump using a dictator playbook. Senator Ed Markey calling President Trump a dictator, saying that this administration's actions are authoritarianism on steroids. Governor J.B. Pritzker, never before in my life have I called for mass protest disruptions. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. You have Rep. Presley saying, we'll see you in the streets. Rep. Monica McIver, a Democrat representative on Capitol Hill, we will not take this shit from Donald Trump. He thinks he's a dictator. We are at war. These are Democrat elected officials calling for war against the president of the United States and his supporters. I could go on and on, but again, when you have people in positions of power that are saying things like this every single day for years, you are inspiring violence by people who are already mentally ill. And that's what we've seen against this president for far too long.
Yeah. I mean, we had to bleep part of it because she used the dirty word, but that was there. This is the rhetoric that the Democrats have used, and it is insane. It is unhinged, and it is mainstream, and that's part of the problem. It is part of the problem we're dealing with in the country now. The Democratic Party of the United States has mainstreamed violent rhetoric against the President of the United States. Carolyn Levitt documented the rhetoric, the profanity, the nonstop hostility. She documented how it was major leaders of the Democratic Party who said it. She's got the citations. She's got the names. It's members of Congress, members of the Senate. It's people on television who have done this. And this guy, Cole Allen, did nothing more than cite them. He said the same things they have said. He said the same rhetoric that these Democrats have said in public. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't crazy at all. He was a partisan Democrat who looked on the Democrats and said, you guys believe this stuff. Why aren't you doing anything? I will do something since you won't do anything. And he took action. He took action to kill the president and members of the cabinet because in his own social media posts, he said he is the threat that the Democrats have warned everyone about. He is the threat. And the Democrats would do nothing. And so Cole Allen decided to do something. And he was angry with the Democrats. You know, Hassan Piker is the guy who wanted to kill landlords. He wanted to kill Rick Scott. He urged the assassination of Republicans, and Democrats are campaigning with him around the country. Do you know Cole Allen was mad at Hassan Piker, went after him on social media? Do you know why? Because Hassan Piker was telling people to go kill all these Republicans and didn't do it himself, wasn't willing to get his hands dirty. He wanted other people to do it. And Cole Allen vented online about Hassan Piker not actually doing what he said he would do or what he wanted other people to do. Y'all, we're at a point of poisonous rhetoric, and the best the Democrats can do is say, well, it's worse on the other side. Donald Trump inspires this stuff. They always give themselves an out. They're not willing to account for the rhetoric on their side. As I said yesterday, I know what Donald Trump can stir people to do. He came after me before. People harassed my family. People were horrible to my kids, to my wife. They showed up at our house. I know what he can do. But that's no excuse for Democrats to do the same. It's no excuse for Democrats to reject that. It's no excuse for Democrats to behave in the same way. And yet they are. And they're saying, well, it's Donald Trump's fault. No, Donald Trump may be saying stuff that you find offensive. Donald Trump may be saying stuff to whip people into a frenzy. But these people on the right, they're not opening fire. Yesterday, I saw a progressive who writes for the New York Times say this stuff is not both sides. The Republicans are disproportionate. Think of all the Second Amendment people Donald Trump stirred to take action against Hillary Clinton. None of them did. None of them did. But we had multiple assassination attempts on Republicans from Congress to the White House to Supreme Court justices. No one's taken shots at Elena Kagan or Sonia Sotomayor or Ketanji Brown Jackson. And, you know, I got to tell you, I do in part have this fear that some Republicans, some Trump supporters somewhere are going to say, we might as well do it too. And then the media will care. Then the media will be really concerned about it. But right now, it's a both sides thing. And the Republican rhetoric is just so extreme and so bad. This is a Democratic candidate for Congress in Georgia.
Listen, we're going to hear about a lot of great issues tonight. Universal health care, affordable housing, better jobs, lower prices. And these are all important issues. But these are pipe dreams. These are never going to happen until and unless we rid ourselves of the cancer that is Donald Trump and the Trump administration. Every day, and in many ways, these people are breaking the law and violating our constitutional rights, and we don't have to put up with it.
That's Randy Zerker. He's running for the 1st Congressional District. He's not going to win. It's a Republican district. But, yeah, they're a cancer. Need to eliminate the cancer. This is the sort of mainstreaming of the violent rhetoric that Democrats engage in. And they don't think anything of it. They say, well, Trump is worse. But Trump supporters aren't picking up guns and firing at Democratic politicians. And the Democrats, I would advise you need to tamp this out on your side, because that's not going to be forever the case. Because there's crazy on both sides. Your crazies just become mainstream. You don't want to see what happens when it becomes mainstream on the right. You need to deal with and clean up your own house, Democrats. This hour of the program brought to you by Van Allen Golf, ALLEN, vanallengolf.com. You can text golf to 33777 and get a link to that. You can also get a link to Golfers Journal if you want to join that, and maybe you'll see me at one of their events. You text golf to 33777. Order your Van Allen Golf putter for you or someone you love. Reach out to them. They've got great customer service. They're good people. And my gosh, do I love the putter. All right. I gotta spend just a moment on Jimmy Kimmel and the outrage. Everybody's very outraged. This is Brian Stelter on CNN.
I think when we're talking about a political leader trying to silence a comedian, that's usually a story you tell in autocracies. That's usually a story we read about in dictatorships. This, of course, is the American democracy, and it's another one of the tests that we've been through during Trump 2.0. There's been a lot of these tests at this point where you have the government trying to pressure a media company or trying to pressure a critic. And the good news, as I see it, is that in most of these tests, America's been passing the test.
Gina Carano was fired by Disney for a tweet about the COVID vaccines. You had a guy who was arrested by the Obama administration for putting up a video they claim sparked the Benghazi attack. You have the man in New York who was arrested after putting up a edited video of Nancy Pelosi that made it look like she was slurring her words. You have massive amounts of tax. You had a Spanish language TV network producer who was fired for making a joke about Michelle Obama. It was a racist joke. She made the joke about Michelle Obama. People wanted her fired. Time and time again, these things happen to the Democrats. Remember, you had a Hill staffer who made a joke about Melania or one of the Sasha Obama, one of the Obama girls, and how she was dressed at an event. Gayle King on CBS News led the charge to get this kid punished. The Democrats have done these things, and Brian Stelter, the rest are like, this has never happened. It's only Trump. No, it's not. It's you people started it. Always they do, and then they blame the other side. Same with the rhetoric. Now, I got to tell you about Rinnai's tankless water heaters. I love my Rinnai tankless water heater. I want you to be able to love it too. Rinnai, brand new advertiser this year. I've had my Rinnai for a while now. I love the tankless water heater. Never run out of hot water. If you want to experience it, they want to give you a $500 rebate. You have to be a homeowner, putting it in your house. You got to have it purchased and installed by June 30th. It's a $500 rebate. What you do is you go to talkingtankless.com, talkingtankless.com. You'll find the rebate button. You click it and put in your information, and then you'll just find the Eric Erickson rebate. When you find the rebate, it says Eric Erickson, you click it, it'll ask you for a passcode. You put in Eric, E-R-I-C-K, and they will get you the Rinnai $500 rebates for homeowners. Purchase and install by June 30th, talkingtankless.com. You can even find a plumber there to install it for you, talkingtankless.com. Click on the rebate page, put in your information, the Erickson rebate, and use my name, Eric.